African leaders are preparing for their trip to Rwanda this weekend for the African Union Summit, and CCTV's Kiyo is joining me live now from the Rwandan capital, Kigali. Jane, foreign ministers are meeting today. Africa's foreign ministers are meeting there today. Will South Sudan, though, be part of the focus of those meetings?
Well, certainly, Beatrice, in fact, as African Union Chair Dlamini Zuma officially opened that meeting of the Executive Council of Foreign Affairs Ministers, she did touch on this issue. In fact, she described that situation in Juba as, quote, unacceptable. And she says that it's time as a continent, leaders respected and protected the lives of their citizens. She also said that she hopes this summit will actually deliberate and help resolve this crisis in South Sudan once and for all. Now, Beatrice, this meeting of this Executive Council meeting definitely comes a few days after that IGAD emergency session in Nairobi called for the sending in of more troops through an intervention brigade, a special intervention brigade to South Sudan. So definitely these foreign affairs ministers will be talking about contributing countries, which countries will be contributing these troops into the special brigade, plus the timeline. So this is a meeting that will definitely go on for the better part of the day.
Jen, you have mentioned that the African Union Commission chairperson has asked the African Union that perhaps they can resolve the crisis in South Sudan once and for all during their meetings there. Are there any concrete measures, though, that perhaps the AUC chair or the African Union itself is proposing to deal with the situation of South Sudan?
Well, certainly the AU is relying on those recommendations by the IGAD Special Summit, but the AU has certainly been talking about this crisis since it began a couple of days ago. The AU chair has been issuing statements condemning the violence and calling on the two parties to exercise or practice what she calls political responsibility for the sake of peace in South Sudan. Now, we've also seen special sessions by the African Union Peace and Security Council, and this is a body that is mandated to prevent and help resolve conflicts on the continent. They've been meeting here on the sidelines over the last few days. They're also waiting to act on those recommendations by the IGAD Special Summit in Nairobi. Now, we also understand, Beatrice, that the AU Special Envoy for South Sudan, that's former Malian President Alpha Konare, is also on standby. He could be going into Juba any moment, but he's also been in talks with the two parties. So there's a lot of diplomacy between Juba and the African Union going on at the moment, even as they wait to act militarily through that special brigade.
Jane, what else is on the agenda at the ministerial meeting, and as well as what is in store for the heads of state arriving there later in the week? What's happening at the summit today apart from that crisis?
Well, the foreign affairs ministers will also be talking about funding for AU missions on the continent. Now, they're expected to come up with a roadmap for alternative financing, especially given in light of what is happening in Somalia with AMISOM. So the delegates will be talking about how they can come up with alternative financing, whether it's going to be through taxes or import duty. They say they hope that through these measures, they can raise about 25% of the peacekeeping costs, Beatrice, by the year 2020. So this is one of the issues on the table today. Plus, of course, the other one that we've been talking about, which is the election of a new African Union chairperson. They're going to be deliberating. We already know that 3 candidates have put their names forward. They include 2 current foreign affairs ministers from Botswana and Equatorial Guinea. The third candidate is, of course, a former vice president of Uganda. These elections, if they are held, they're going to take place by the end of the week. Beatrice?
Right, Kiyo for us there in Kigali. Thank you.